What's up guys, I'm coming to you with another vlog style video, and I wanted to share some thoughts with you about ownership of assets and the importance of that and what that adds to your life. I don't know if any of you have been watching that documentary on Netflix. It's called Last Dance. It's about Michael Jordan's career. It's a fantastic documentary. I mean, I didn't know much about basketball, or nothing about basketball really, before watching that. Obviously I'd heard of Michael Jordan, and just watching it just made me realize what a fantastic athlete he was, and how he basically just dominated that whole league. But it also taught me some stuff about financial literacy and ownership of assets and wealth, because I'm always thinking with my sort of financial literacy mind when I'm watching these things. And it made me think just in terms of, there was a part where he had this sort of ongoing tension between the owners. I think one of their names was Jerry Reinsdorf, and the other guy, the general manager, was Jerry Krause. And there was tension between, they wanted to go in different directions. They had different thoughts and feelings about what to do with the team, about who to buy, about what direction it should go in. There was a separation between business and sport. And when I was thinking about it from a financial literacy perspective, I was like, okay, so the two agendas are different. Michael Jordan just wants to be the best athlete he can be. He wants to play as much as he can play, and he wants to win trophies. And then you got the owners. I'm going to call them the Jerrys, because they're both called Jerry. And they were thinking in terms of finance. They wanted business. They wanted profit. They wanted profit, basically. Profit, business, global brand, and all of that kind of stuff. So you had two different objectives, two different viewpoints during, the whole documentary. And then if you remember, it got to a stage where, well, a few stages, but one of them was where Michael Jordan wanted to play in the Chicago Bulls. They wanted to be able to have a decent draft pick for the next year. So that meant that basically they didn't want Michael Jordan to play as much, and they benched him. So I'm sitting there watching this, and I'm like, wow, this is not only the greatest athlete in the NBA, but probably one of the best athletes to have ever lived. I mean, the guy was insane. I was talking to my wife whilst I was watching it. I was like, the guy's not human. So he wanted to play, the owners didn't. And when you watched it through, you saw basically the owners came out on top. And then you have to ask the question, why? So you had two competing objectives, and obviously the owners said, you're benched, you're not playing, and that's the end of it. Excuse me. And it made me think about ownership, basically, from the viewpoint of assets and finance, right? So if you are an investor and you own assets, that's where real control and freedom and self-determination comes from, right? So there's a really big lesson in there, because they controlled the team, which was an asset. They'd invested money into the team. They owned it. They had the power to tell Michael Jordan, the biggest athlete on the earth, what to do, because they had ownership. So it was just a real general principle that came out really, really strongly. They weren't in the right, by the way. Well, I think morally they probably weren't in the right, but that's a whole nother discussion. But yeah, in terms of their own interests, they were able to do that because they had control and they own the asset. So when it comes to you, what does that mean for you guys? It's all about ownership, guys. So right now during my videos, I'm talking a lot about becoming free from debt, and the strategies and thought patterns and tips that you can employ to get out of debt. But long term, it's about, beyond that, building wealth. And a huge part of that, my philosophy, is buying assets and owning them. Sorry guys, my phone literally shut down on me. It's so hot here in London. So taking this example that we've seen in the NBA on this amazing documentary, what does that mean for people like you and me? It means buying assets. It means owning things. So we're talking about stocks and shares, property, bonds, all of these investable businesses, being entrepreneurial, investing in businesses, all of these things that we as individuals can own for ourselves, and also have that same level of control, freedom, and self-determination. So that's my thoughts on that documentary, guys. If you haven't seen it, go check it out. It's amazing. But also think about it from a financial literacy perspective and your future and a wealth building perspective, and I'm sure you'll get a lot of great things out of it too. Catch you soon, guys.